The Valeth Empire had conquered 17 star systems in less than a galactic standard decade. Their chronosteel warships, impervious to conventional weapons, had cut through planetary defenses like scythes through wheat. Their soldiers, encased in living armor that adapted to any attack, had never known defeat. The Galactic Council had labeled them the Inevitable Tide, a force that could not be stopped, only endured. Commander Raxon stood on the bridge of the asterisk Eternal Dominance asterisk, watching as Earth grew larger on the main view screen. A primitive world isolated on the outer rim of the Perseus Arm, inhabited by a species that had barely begun to colonize their own solar system. Another simple conquest, Raxon said, mandibles clicking in what his species considered laughter. The humans have no allies, minimal defenses, and technology centuries behind ours. His second-in-command, Jivix, nodded. Intelligence reports they still use projectile weapons in ground combat. Primitive slug throwers. Add their world to the catalog, Raxon ordered. Resource extraction priority 3. The usual terms of surrender will be transmitted. The usual terms were simple: immediate and complete submission or complete annihilation. Captain Marcus Taylor of the United Earth Defense Force received the transmission with a grim expression. Unlike the 17 other species before them, humanity had studied the Valeth extensively. What others saw as invincibility, humans recognized as specific technological advantages that could theoretically be countered. They're expecting immediate surrender, Marcus told the assembled military leaders at Earth Command. The holographic display showed the approaching Valeth fleet, 50 warships, each capable of destroying a major city. General Rivera nodded. Then we have the element of surprise. Are all units prepared for Operation Achilles? Yes, ma'am, Admiral Jones replied. Tungsten core missiles are loaded, and the EMP platforms are in position. Ground forces have been equipped with the modified weapons. Rivera studied the tactical display. Remember, everyone, the Valeth have never faced humans before. They don't know what we're capable of when our backs are against the wall. When the Valeth fleet approached Earth orbit, they were puzzled by the lack of response. No surrender, no futile defensive measures. Perhaps their leadership is in disarray, Jivix suggested. Raxon moved toward the command console. Prepare the first wave off. The bridge rocked suddenly as alarms blared. Impact detected. A technician called out. Multiple projectiles. Impossible, Raxon hissed. Our shields. They're not energy weapons, the technician interrupted. An unforgivable breach of protocol forgiven only due to the unprecedented situation. They're physical projectiles, solid tungsten rods. Accelerated to, calculating, 0.15 C. Simple physics had been humanity's first countermeasure. No shield could stop an object with that much kinetic energy. 3 Valeth ships had already been holed completely through, their atmospheres venting into space. Evasive maneuvers, Raxon ordered. Return fire. The Valeth ships fired their energy cannons, but found another surprise waiting. Earth had positioned sacrificial EMP platforms in orbit, crude devices that, when destroyed, released electromagnetic pulses that temporarily disrupted the living metal circuits of Valeth weaponry. Launch ground forces, Raxon commanded. The Valeth had never been denied orbital supremacy before, but they had contingency plans. Dropships began descending toward Earth's surface, carrying thousands of armored troops. On the ground, the battle revealed the third human countermeasure. The Valeth armor adapted to energy weapons by absorbing and redirecting the energy. Humans had reverted to modified ballistic weapons, advanced versions of their primitive slug throwers, firing depleted uranium rounds that punched through the confused adaptive armor before it could properly analyze and respond to physical penetration. Private James Rodriguez crouched behind a collapsed wall in what had been downtown Atlanta. His squad had already taken down 12 Valeth soldiers, an unprecedented achievement. They keep expecting us to run, he told his surgeon over the comm. They don't understand that humans don't break like that. Sergeant Lily Park nodded as she reloaded her rifle. The other species surrendered when they realized they couldn't win. They never considered fighting a war they couldn't win, just to make the enemy pay for every inch. On the 8th day of the battle for Earth, Commander Raxon faced the unthinkable retreat. Half his fleet had been destroyed or disabled. Ground forces reported casualties exceeding 60%, with minimal territorial gains. How? He demanded of his tactical officers. How can they still be fighting? Their major cities are in ruins. Their military bases have been hit with orbital strikes. By all logic, they should have surrendered by now. The answer came from an unexpected source, a captured human officer brought to the bridge for interrogation. Despite injuries and exhaustion, Lieutenant Thomas Lee managed a pained smile. "You're not the first supposedly unstoppable force we've faced," he said. "Our history is full of empires that thought themselves invincible until they met determined resistance. You may have better technology, but you lack what humans have refined through thousands of years of warfare against ourselves: tenacity." Raxon leaned forward. "You cannot win. You must see that." Thomas shrugged. "Winning isn't always about coming out unscathed. Sometimes it's about making your enemy decide that victory isn't worth the cost." 3 weeks later, the Galactic Council received an unprecedented message. The Valith Empire was proposing a peace treaty with Earth, not demanding surrender, but offering terms of mutual non-aggression. The Council representatives were stunned. How did a pre-FTL civilization force the Valith to the negotiating table? Asked the Zentari ambassador. In the human delegation, General Rivera exchanged knowing glances with her colleagues. The answer was simple. The Valith had been invincible because their previous opponents had believed them to be. Humans, with their unique history of continuous warfare and resilience, had seen not an unstoppable force, but a puzzle to be solved. Where others saw divine judgment, humans saw problems with solutions. As the treaty was formalized, a new phrase entered the galactic lexicon: human tenacity, the unexpected quality that had turned the invincible into the merely formidable. The Valith would recover and remain a powerful empire, but they would never again be considered invincible. They had faced humans, and that changed everything.